Okay, so the most interesting part of it all was that the pullback here that we were looking at on XRP, it was actually kind of sort of needed in order for us to validate a continuation to the upside, which is just maniacal. It seems as though the markets have been just completely topsy-turvy. It feels like it's temperamental, right? It feels like it's being guided by not true trading dynamics, but for some reason the trading dynamic kind of works out at the end in some way, shape, or form. I don't even know what to say, but the pullback that we were looking for yesterday kind of fortified here today, for some weird reason. But this is a very strong area that we were looking for anyway. The upside into the 270 area. Let's just kind of highlight that there. Right, check it out. All of these resistances, that was the high likelihood here, right? Of course, we still have those 284 targets. We still have those upper bound targets, the ones that we've been talking about here forever. I get it, right? But I'm wondering if this was actually the pullback that we needed, right? Remember, we're coming up to this area, resistance to validate this as support before we can continue towards the upside. Now, the scary thing is if we're just validating this as resistance before continuing to the downside. But I don't think that's quite happening just yet. And I will say it like this. I have ran a historical backtest of stochastic momentum versus linear volatility. And I want to show you the results of that because they are pretty outstanding. But before we do that, welcome back to the team, everybody. Please do me a favor, hit that like button, subscribe to the channel. Do everything necessary to get this thing to live long, thrive, and survive. My name is Arca, coming at you at 10:15 p.m. Pacific time on Wednesday, October 29th. Spot price, 250.105, 250.205 on XRP. Okay, let's move right into these details here. I don't want to spend too much time in this video. Got to get to a market prep here with the team live on Discord. Okay, so what I did here, guys, is I tested a particular criteria here, right? The criteria would be breaking volatility's critical area of around 15%, the component itself, for expansion with an upside bias on stochastic momentum on the weekly time frame, specifically throughout its entire trading history. So I am using the data from all the way July to 2013. That's currently what we're doing, right? So and it is particular to the weekly chart, okay, guys? So nothing else. It is the weekly. Okay, so here are the results based on this historical backtest. This is where it gets pretty nice. Okay, weekly volatility, upside backtest. Of course, we're testing the upside. Total iterations are about 16 repeated throughout its entire history, 13 of which have been guessed correctly and 3 guessed incorrectly. That gives us an upside accuracy of 84.21%, with an average upside thrust from the firing of that signal of 169.91% over the span of just about an average of 29.38 days. The signal fired on October 13th, and we are on October 29th now, which means that we have an 84% probability based on this backtest that there could be a jump of 169.91% on average based on that signal firing. And the signal fired just when volatility dipped inside of this critical expansion and broke out from this 15% of a critical contraction zone. Now it is expanding, and now we're turning that moving average too. So these are, that's part of the condition here. Of course, your stochastic momentum needing that upside as well would be critical too. So let's go ahead and just kind of plot this out and see what's going on with price here, right, guys? So from the signal of the fire here, guys, on October 13th was 253.09. So 253.09 was the fire of the signal, and we were looking at the average move with 84% probabilities of about 170%. That'll take you to about $6.86, which is gigantic. And for some reason, I do see volatility kind of leading towards something like that. So now I'm wondering if XRP could be the canary in a coal mine here, because I actually am kind of bullish the market too, the equities. Although they dipped hard, I still think that they repair, and I still think that we go for all-time highs again into your following days. So if this really does show the data, I mean, guys, this is data. This is just, I am not giving you a personal opinion. I'm just giving you a raw read over what volatility against momentum are saying, historically speaking. So let's kind of, be eternally aware of that here, that it's not my opinion. And here is where I can get speculative too, guys. This is going to be just a little bit of a different video. Still, we're going to try to make it as short as we can, but it is a different one because the upside here, should we beat the 170% on data, I've also calculated, right, from the statistics here, beyond the 68% of the results from your bell curve, right? Your probability curve. So if we beat the average upside thrust of 169.91, we have a standard deviation that we can reach of 274.74% to the upside. That would be where the 68% of the results land. Your mean would be split in the middle. So if we reach if we reach a standard deviation of 274, well, that would be right about here, and it'll take us to about $9.48, just around $9.49, which is weird. And I'm hearing a lot of people talk about these targets. I don't know what the heck is going to catalyze this or why it would even do it. So you let me know in the chat what you think it would do and why it would do this over the next month or within the month. Now, should it beat the 274.74%? Remember that this is all criteria based. It is not a certainty. It is just probability. The average upside thrust of 170 does have the 84.21% upside accuracy. It does. But remember that we dilute little by little as we calculate into the upper bounds of the first, second, and standard deviation tops. Should we combat and beat the 274, the next move on an upper bound of the first standard deviation would be 444.65% up. This would be roughly 1380. The upper bound of a second standard deviation, 719.36% up, would land you at 2077. And I'm not going to calculate anything above the upper bound of the third standard deviation as it starts getting grainy and there's too much, it's just too much artifact. So that target would lead you towards the top side of about 2778. And that marks off the total of the statistical backtest that I performed for you. So I am seeing a potential repair of the market, right? I mean, it's going to come with, a little bit of pain here and there, but we'll get into the shorter term stuff at a later time. But I just wanted to share this here with you guys because I did perform the back test earlier, and I wanted to make sure that you guys knew that this is actually a signal that is presently still on fire. All right, guys. Well, this is a pretty good place to leave off. Please remember that I will never reach out to you first, right? Ever. I will never, ever friend request you or message you or ask you to trade or transfer your crypto or nothing like that, guys. In fact, I really, really want you to become a trading team member. So make sure to hit in the description below the mentorship program for $100, right? 9-week mentorship live with me. So make sure to hit that, guys, and everything would be good. Let's get you enrolled because we're starting that quickly. Thank you very much, and we'll talk to you very, very scary Larry later. All right, team? Peace, and peace. Please take whatever I do show and iterate within these videos as just a form of entertainment, as I cannot suggest for you to buy, sell, or hold any assets whatsoever. Ever. I need you to do your own due diligence, and everything will be cool. But with that said, team, I wish you well. A very, very good rest of your night and or day, and I will catch you at the Bell Mañana. Adios. Oh, yeah.